Hello, good morning. Welcome. Broadcasting to you live from the Orion spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, in between two tariffed nations. Oh, yeah. Yeah, everybody on the left is a tariff expert today. This is the TNAM AM Show. Thanks for joining us here on the New American Media, because the old American media has failed you. Now, we knew this 14 years ago. Did you know this 14 years ago? It's okay. It's okay. In the beginning, the patriot is a scorned person. What is that quote? Let me see. In the beginning, a patriot was a scorned. Okay, quote by Mark Twain. In the beginning of a change, the patriot is a scarce man, and brave, and hated, and scorned. When his cause cedes, the timid join him, for then it costs nothing to be a patriot. Mark Twain. In the beginning, you gave me a pop-up. In the beginning of a change, a patriot is a scarce man, and brave, and hated, and scorned. When his cause succeeds, the timid join him, for then it costs nothing to be a patriot. Yes, the cost is legitimate, people. You know, there's 100 people out there doing this and doing it well, doing it very lucratively. Bravo to you. No hate at all. Congrats. And there's about 10,000 of us on the other category of it 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 takes more than it gives. It costs more than it provides. It's okay. It's a labor of love. I love this. I love getting on the airwaves and talking to you. I love unpacking the news of the day. Check out our show yesterday. We had special guest Zach Barris. He joined for the NBA trade. We talked about Luka Doncic going to the Los Angeles Lakers, where LeBron James is, and they sent Anthony Davis to Kyrie Irving and the Mavericks. I did not have that on my bingo board. So we broke that trade down, and then we talked for a couple hours about all the other things in the news. Today, we're going to do the same. We're going to discuss what is happening. Yeah, hold on. I mean, we could start with Mike Benz talking about U.S. aid. Why don't we just do that? Here, let's just share the screen and get into today's program. Leave your comments, hit like, and subscribe if you would. Unpacking the news. Here we go. This is there we go. Mike Benz. He's been everywhere lately. He went from zero to hero. The guy is kind of a big deal. He's everywhere. Let's hear what he has to say about U.S. aid. Oh, got it. Unmute. Here we go.
Which player? There's no aid in U.S. aid, by the way. That's your brain is being tricked when you see the phrase U.S. aid. It's not an aid organization. The aid in U.S. aid stands for U.S. Agency for International Development. It is developing internationally around the world all of the institutions that the State Department needs to use. So when they are capacity building activist groups in a foreign country, that's because the State Department wants those activists there. Now, USAID, for the first time in its history, it was created in the early 1960s by JFK, 1961. It was created because you had all of this intelligence, statecraft, and military support and logistical aid that was tripping over itself, basically. The military would be funding, would be running aid to certain groups.
Once again, Patriot Act, diversity, equity, inclusion, these things sound nice. U.S. aid, these things sound nice. Hey, that sounds good. Aid is good. Patriot Act, patriotism is good. Diversity and inclusion, wow. These are all, these kind of sound good. And if you don't know, equity is a really, 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 really bad thing. It sounds good. Equity is like equality, but equity is like equality of outcome regardless of input, where everyone gets a benefit without having to go through the same stuff or meet the same qualifications, and it could lead to crashes on the Potomac. We'll get to that story with the Blackhawk later. Yeah, we're going to talk about Marco Rubio and Panama Canal. We're going to talk about tariffs today. We're going to talk about Canada, Mexico, China, all of these things. But yeah, let's just listen to U.S. aid talk with Mike Benz real quick here. It sounds good, but it ain't.
In the region, the State Department would be running aid to certain groups in the region. The intelligence community would, and there was no sort of central coordinator of those capacity building operations. So USAID, by the way, is a $50 billion budget. The entirety of the intelligence community is only $22 billion. So it is as more than the CIA and more than the State Department.
Wow.
And aid is basically effectively a switch player to assist the Pentagon with on the national security front, to assist the State Department on the national interest front, or to assist the intelligence community on a sort of clandestine operations front. So State Department, USAID, and the National Endowment for Democracy. Now USAID is, a very notorious. It's sort of a switch player.
All right, so that's the beginning of it. So you have a little bit of a background now on USAID. USAID has been in the headlines a lot lately, and we're going to get to some of that. Let's refresh here with our stories. We shall begin in no particular order. Yeah, right here. Mark Nixon is saying, breaking, Trump is on Fox News, and he's furious with Canada. He disagrees on Canada's leadership. He says something's going to happen there. Then he drops the hammer. If they want to play games, let's play. I'm just going to retaliate even further. Here, let's just click it and expand upon it. Mute, unmute, play.
Ready to increase the tariffs against Canada? Well, it could happen. If they do anything, we will. Canada's been very abusive of the United States for many years. They don't allow our banks. Did you know that? Canada does not allow banks to go in. If you think about it, that's pretty amazing. If we have a U.S. bank, they don't allow them to go in.
U.S. banks can't go into Canada? Look, I got some minimum guidelines. We have a neighbor to the north, and their security is our security. Give their people their guns back. Hey, Canada, demand that you get your firearms back. Change your regulations, your rules, your governing documents to give yourself a Second Amendment, a God-given right to protection. I can't believe you let Trudeau, that noodle-armed little punk, disarm you. A weak northern neighbor makes a weak northern United States. Give them their freedom back. Demand your freedom back. And get your immigration under control. Have you been to some of these places in Canada lately? They are just straight up enclaves. They're not Canadian anymore. This stuff has been going on not just in America with the Obama doctrine. This stuff has been everywhere. And it's not our job to fix it per se, but we share a border. That is our shared territory. Therefore, we do have a say in what's going on, and we should work to make you as strong as possible. But like President Trump's saying, if they're being abusive, we need to call this out and see what we can do.
Canada's been very tough on oil, on energy. They don't allow our farm products in, essentially.
Tough on oil and energy. They won't allow our farm products in.
They don't allow a lot of things in, and we allow everything to come in. It's been a one-way street. We subsidize Canada by the tune of about $200 billion a year.
Why are we subsidizing Canada? We're $36 trillion in debt. Pay off the debt. We don't need to fund every other country on planet Earth. We can't, by the way. It's a foolish endeavor. Except there's no repercussions. There's no ramifications. There's no blowback. There's no penalty. That has to change. It's all money laundering and piracy. And we're finding it out day after day with Doge. We're going to get to Elon Musk and a bunch of Doge stuff. My God. You wonder where our money's been going? It's not hard to figure out once you start figuring it out. All you ever had to do was give a shit. The information's right there.
And for what? What do we get out of it? We don't get anything out of it. I love the people of Canada. I disagree with the leadership of Canada. And something's going to happen there. But if they want
Yeah, something is going to happen there. It's called Pierre Poilievre, if I'm pronouncing that right.
to play the game, I don't mind. We can play the game all they want. Mexico, we've had very good talks with them. And this is retaliatory. This is retaliatory to a certain extent. Millions of people flowed into our country through Mexico and Canada. And we're not going to allow that.
There you go. Yeah, and everybody on the left today, they are experts on tariffs. Was this Patrick saying Dow futures dropped more than 450 points after Trump hits U.S. trading partners with tariffs? Oh, yeah, I saw some of my union buddies, my hardcore leftists on their social media. Tariff experts. Trump said he's going to lower your prices day one. He's imposing tariffs. You just got taxed. I can't believe you're voting. You have libertarian leanings, and you're going to vote for someone who's going to raise your prices. I'm like, dude, if we tariff the Canadian maple syrup, we buy it from Vermont. That's not a tax. We're buying American. Okay. We're in the driver's seat of the negotiation here. I said to my friend, I don't know. And sometimes you say the term friend loosely. I feel like he kind of hates me. There's a question today. How many friends do you have that you think kind of hate you? I got a lot of people that kind of hate me. Maybe they appreciate that I'm honest. Maybe they appreciate that I'm willing to engage in a mostly civil conversation with them. Or they partially just wish I would keel over and die and get out of their way. I think there is a lot of that. Low key, though. Maybe not. You don't lead with that, but you might hint toward that every day. But yeah, what I told him, I said, Obama. It was Obama's third term. You can say Obama. I said, Biden destroyed a lot in America in the last 4 years. It's going to take more than a week, 2 weeks to unpack and unravel all this. I said, check back with me in a year and we'll see how we're doing. Blah, blah, blah. You need to answer the question. I can't believe, blah, 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 blah. I said, check back with me in 6 months, 3 months. I'm not sweating this on week 2. This is all a negotiation. That's how this works. Good morning. It's a negotiation. And I'm here for it. And President Trump is here for it. Okay, and here's some more about this. This is J.D. Vance, future President J.D. Vance, potentially, talking on Fox News here. Tariffs. Everyone's a tariff expert today.
Tariffs will go into effect tomorrow.
Yep.
25% on Canada and Mexico, 10% on China. Are you expecting retaliation?
We'll see what happens, but I think, unfortunately, the retaliation has already happened. The problem with this whole idea that they're going to retaliate is they have already been taking advantage of America for decades. The retaliation is Donald Trump saying no more. We're not going to be taken advantage of anymore, and I think it's important the president is doing what he's doing. Now, look, it looks different ways and comes in different forms, whether you're talking about Canada or China or Mexico. We know that Mexico has allowed the facilitation of the illegal drug trade and illegal sex trafficking for years and has done nothing about it. If they want to be a better partner to us, the time starts now. We know the Chinese, of course, have stolen American manufacturing jobs for 30, 40 years, and also that they facilitated the trafficking of illegal fentanyl into Mexico, where the drug cartels then bring it into our country. We are sick of being taken advantage of.
Yeah.
We still have, thank God, the biggest economy in the entire world, the best people and the best workers. But the message from President Trump to the entire world is very clear. We are done being taken advantage of, and we have a president who looks out for the interests of American citizens. Thank God we do, and we're going to try to do it the best we can.
These tariffs.
There you go. Yeah, if you can't go after Mexico for what they're doing with China and Mexico, running this poison fentanyl into our, you know what? The Summer of Love riots across 2020 may not have ever happened if fentanyl wouldn't have made its way into Minneapolis. Huh. We could pin the Summer of Love Democrat riots on the fentanyl coming from China through Mexico. I've never thought about it that way. This next story from Toria Brooke, an undercover journalist discovered a disturbing revelation at the IRS. What is this about?
What we have learned is that the IRS, in fact, has been using AI to access bank accounts of American citizens without any kind of a search warrant or even without any specific claim that they have committed a crime. So this was something that was discovered by an undercover journalist, and what they found is that the IRS has claimed that they have access to every single person's bank account. This person also...
What in the world is going on?
Also indicated that they've been working with the Department of Justice and that they have absolutely no problem whatsoever going after the little guy to make sure that they are paying their taxes. This is such a...
And President Trump, as this comment from Walt says, we will abolish the IRS and it's not needed. Tariffs worked long ago and they will work again. Pay attention to your families, IRS. Pay attention to your families, IRS. Hope that wasn't a threat. But that is what President Trump has signaled. If we put tariffs in place, we might be able to get rid of the IRS. Yeah, and if you stop money laundering to the world and everyone's dipping their beak and getting their 10% for the big guy, we don't need as much. We don't need what we're taking. And it's just an insane process that we've allowed this to happen. We need to go back to 1912 and undo all the damage of 1913.
Blatant violation of the Fourth Amendment that we have. Jim Jordan and I sent a letter to the IRS demanding that they provide additional information about what they are doing with AI and what they are doing to protect the civil rights of American citizens.
That is shocking. Timmy says, it's funny how tax collector was synonymous with being bad and immoral as a person in the Bible. Seems like some things never change. Yeah, governments always turn on their own people. It's time to get rid of the IRS, abolish the IRS. Just read the comments. What are we doing? This agency has been weaponized against patriotic American citizens. And you know what? Coming from somebody here who's been talking to these people for more than a year now, they've been withholding about $4,000 from me. I've jumped through every hoop they've needed. They claimed that there was a potential identity situation. I had to verify who I was. All right. I've called over and over and over and over and over again. It's the most inefficient department. Nobody talks to the other departments. They'll put you on hold after waiting on hold for 50 minutes to talk to someone. They'll transfer you to a line to hear the music, and then it disconnects you after 45 minutes. This was supposed to be sent out 9 weeks ago, more than a year ago. Come on. What are we doing with the IRS right now? This is a unique moment in time where we can reimagine what America is. And the fact that they've been spying on everybody's bank accounts, they have no fucking right to do that. The Fourth Amendment, you need to have a probable cause to get a warrant through a justice system to start looking around. That's how this works. They're using AI to spy on everybody. When we unplug every cord and cable connected in this rat's nest of a government, when we're done, honestly, what do we actually need to plug back in aside from almost nothing? Almost every agency has been weaponized against we the people. All right, moving on. Joy Vila. I think I'm pronouncing her name right. She's got thoughts. I think she was on the red carpet yesterday. That was the Grammys were yesterday. Did you see Kanye's special lady? Looking very Kim Kardashian-esque. I don't even know if I could show you that image right now. Brr, okay. But here's Joy Vila trying to sort some stuff out on immigration and with Selena Gomez.
The ones that should be deported are being deported. To be honest, I'm a Latina. My family came from this country to this country legally. And I love to see rapists, human traffickers deported. I don't want to see them here. I want us to be free for all colors, for all people. Like, that's what makes America great again. So we can create, so we can live. Like, as an artist, as a musician, I want to be able to walk at night and not think that I'm going to get killed by an illegal alien. And so those are the people getting deported, and those are the people that should get deported. I think the one.
I mean, can anyone out there agree or disagree? Can anyone disagree with that? Comments. Common sense prevailing again. She has the facts. Yeah, she's absolutely right. Strong women. Most entertainers aren't as brave as she is. Yeah, so many people becoming fans of hers. Okay, this is coming from Wake Up Right. By the way, thanks for waking up with us here on the TNAM AM Show, unpacking the news. Follow our Instagram page, The New American Media. Follow our Facebook page, The New American Media. Truth Social page, The New American Media. On X at American_media_. Truth Social, The New American Media. YouTube, The New American Media. Spotify, The Agree to Disagree Show. And if you'd like to support us, we're on patreon.com/The New American Media, on Venmo at Brian Engelman, on PayPal at Fuzz Installment, and Cash App at $Brian Engelman. And also TNAM and TNAM chat on Signal and Telegram. All right, this one here is from Wake Up Right. Yeah, it's called The Art of the Deal. The details here. After meeting with Trump's Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, Panama's President Jose Raul Mulino said China's deal, quote, will not be renewed by my government and would see, quote, whether it can be finished earlier. All right, so they're going to try to terminate this immediately. How in the world did China get involved in the Panama Canal to begin with, and why was nobody on top of this? Why were we asleep at the switch on this topic? Here's a
El memorándum de entendimiento del año 2017 sobre la ruta de la seda de Belt and Road Initiative no será renovado por mi gobierno. Eso es así. Vamos a estudiar la posibilidad de si se puede terminar antes o no, pero creo que le toca en 1 o 2 años la renovación, porque es cada 3. Así que esa iniciativa que se firmó, cuando se firmó, en el tiempo que se firmó, no será renovada por mi gobierno. Creo que esta visita abre un camino para construir una nueva etapa de relaciones. Así lo veo yo, así lo sentí de parte del secretario. El memorándum de entendimiento.
Trump put pressure on. China's out in the Panama Canal. How soon? Well, when it expires, they're not going to renew it, but that's not good enough. End that shit now. And it sure seems like that's what's happening. It is so nice to have a boss in charge of America again. Maybe for the first time ever, not just some goofy puppet working for a bunch of multinational corporations bleeding us dry, lowering the purchase power of your currency, stealing generational wealth from you and your family. Also, they can just have it easier, have some more toys, some more vacations, some more fancy food. God, when is the last time the United States had a real American president that gave a shit and tried to work in the best interest of our country instead of someone else? This here from Joe Rogan, this is from Wall Street Citizen, says the most important minute of J.D. Vance on Joe Rogan was actually this. This is something, look, all these planes crashing, a boat goes into Baltimore and takes out an entire bridge, and a Trump hotel, a Tesla truck explodes, someone takes a vehicle and mows down a bunch of people in New Orleans. Feels like January was a very heavy and I know the Baltimore thing was not January, but it seems like there's a lot of things happening. And with these 30 million illegal alien invaders that have been dumped in this country by Obama, yes, this was Obama's third term, stolen from Trump. Are there sleeper cells here ready to activate? And if so, are they waiting for this to happen? And if so, what is our plan? It's one of the topics I am most concerned with. And I would love to know what each municipality is doing about this issue locally, not just nationally, very locally, on a state basis, and then on a national basis. Because the story goes, it is not easy to replace these items. We don't have them in stock, and they're made in China. So can we please address this right now?
If the grid goes down, we have a real problem, right?
We do have a real problem. The answer to the question about the grid is, this is actually, it's one of these things where if we had a functional government, it's pretty easy to develop the systems. Because if you do like an EMP attack, right? Ron Johnson, who's a senator from Wisconsin, is really preoccupied with this. It doesn't take down the whole grid. What it really screws with is the power transformer system. So what we should have is basically a backup power transformer for every major system in the United States of America, just sitting in a warehouse that's turned off. And because it's turned off, it won't be affected by an EMP pulse. And then if there is an EMP attack, you just get those transformers to swap out the ones that were destroyed, and then the grid is back up and running. It's actually a scandal, I think, that the federal government has not just at one point, with all the money that we spend on defense and everything else, just said, we're going to spend $15 billion to buy enough power transformers to have a backup for every transformer in the country. We should do that.
And more so than that, I think you're close. Number one, thank you for bringing this up. This is old, but it's important. We need to build an American transformer factory. That's what we need. These things allegedly, last time I did the deep dive in the research and listened to some of the experts, these things come from China. We don't have the capability to manufacture them. We don't currently do that. From all the basic pharmaceuticals that we need to the power transformers, we need to have American factories making these things immediately. EMP hardened factories. Put them at a military installation and build them on bases. Build these mini factories at various military bases and protect them with everything you got. Because I assure you, if I were a bad guy, like Obama, Biden, if I were a bad guy and I wanted to take over a nation and I was able to somehow trick people to make them think that I would be good for the country, trick people into, magically pausing 7 states and dragging it out over days and weeks and flipping over hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of votes to magically win with 81 million actual legitimate, totally legitimate, real people votes. And I was installed, and my number one job was to destroy this nation from within as a traitor. Once I let my army of military-aged men inside of my country, I would snap the power grid off. I would give everybody a date. I'd be like, all right, St. Patrick's Day. That's when it all hits the fan. Go. There's the purge. Here's your targets. Here's what you do. You don't think China sent people here with a plan? You don't think so? You don't think Afghanistan has sent people here with a plan? You don't think Iraq, Iran? You don't think they've sent people here with a plan? If I were a bad guy trying to destroy a nation, that's exactly what I would do. So the time to get prepared on that is now. And I certainly hope that we do. Next story. Here you go. Remember when Biden and Harris sent forklifts so that they could open the United States border after Texas put the razor? Look at this image and never forget this. This is treason, right? When are the trials? in a country that spent 4 years saying, oh, everybody needed to be vaccinated, everybody needed papers, please. You need to prove who you are. You can't do this, you can't do that, you can't fly, you can't work. You need to prove who you are, and you need to be. But by the way, millions of people just come on in. We are not even going to, we don't care about your COVID vaccination status. You know what? We don't even care about if you are a criminal in the country you are air quote fleeing from. This is Biden Harris. This is the Democrat Party. This is why you shatter the Democrat Party to 1,000 pieces and scatter it to the winds. The Democrats are deep state traitors. They always have been. They've tricked you. Never vote for them ever again. This one now is from Dark MAGA 23. Comment saying, someone send this to The View, especially Sonny Hostin, because all they do is spread hate and lies. Who are they saying this is? Phil Washington, CEO of Denver Airport. I'm trying to get this guy's name here. I want to double check, make sure. I'm going to search it. DEI airline person Ted Cruz. Where's it at? What's that interview? Ted Cruz interview? Hearing? God, why do I use Google? I need a new search engine here. Oh, here we go. Thank you for the advertisement. At a Senate Commerce Committee hearing on Wednesday, this was a year ago, March 5, 2023, Ted Cruz. Okay, Ted Cruz is now interviewing President Biden's nominee to run the FAA, Phil Washington. Yeah, this is Phil Washington. Why they said Phil Washington is CEO of the Denver airport? Anyway, this is what DEI is. Tell me, in what universe does this make sense? There's a position open and they're like, you could either think two things. The non-DEI approach is, hey, we have a position open. Who are the most capable people that we know? Let's take a look around and find the most qualified people for this industry and let's crush it. DEI says, well, there's a position open. Number one, no white people, no straight people, no Christians, no men. Okay, now if that's done, who can we put in that checks off, little check boxes? How diverse can you be? What marginalized group could you be? Oh, this guy's a man. That's not good. Is he straight? I don't know. If he is, that's not good. But he's black. Black is something. I'm assuming he's black. I don't know. He looks dark. Well, at least it's not a white guy, right? That's literally what DEI does. Well, you know what? We'd love to find a disabled lesbian woman of color. That would be our best pick for the FAA here. I'm sorry. Can you repeat that last part? Right. A disabled lesbian woman of color would be the best pick here because that's the most diverse candidate we can think of. I'm sorry. What are you doing? Why aren't you trying to find the most qualified person? Let me ask you, does this person even remotely sound qualified for the position that Biden, Obama pulling puppet strings, put out there for the FAA?
Have you ever flown a plane? Thank you for the question, Senator. No, I have never flown a plane. So you weren't a military pilot or a commercial airline pilot? No, Senator. Have you ever worked for an airline? No, Senator. Have you ever worked as an air traffic controller? No, Senator. Have you ever worked for a company that manufactures airplanes? No, Senator. Have you ever worked for a company that fixes airplanes? No, Senator.
I don't think I've ever seen a time where I've seen Ted Cruz at a loss for words, speaking. This is the man that Joe Biden put in place to be in charge of the FAA. This is a man who has absolutely no experience in the position that he's in. They hired this man specifically because he's black and because it would help them meet their quota. This is what DEI looks like. Underqualified people in positions that they shouldn't be in. Could you imagine a hospital being led by a person that has no experience in the medical field?
Well, as long as they're a disabled lesbian woman of color, then yeah. Under DEI, that's who you would put in there because that person represents a different aspect of our society, and that's important. Representation is more important than qualification. That's what DEI says. Representation is more important than qualification. Do you agree or disagree with that?
You know what that look like?
There you go. Lunacy. And so now we're trying to figure out what's happening in the world and figuring out who's responsible for it. This is Kash Patel. This is the Sean Ryan Experience, the Sean Ryan Experience. This is about Christopher Wray and Russiagate. I might have played this yesterday, but it's okay. This is super important for you to really understand what's happening.
Wray, the director of the FBI, and Rod Rosenstein were tasked with helping us at Congress, where I ran the Russiagate investigation, to expose Russiagate. We went to them and said, look, you guys didn't do this. Help us expose it. You know what they did? They launched an investigation against me. They used grand jury subpoenas to get my personal information, my banking information, my emails, my cell phone information, and everything else. I didn't find out until 5 years later when Google called me and said, hey, our 5-year notification has lapsed. We can now tell you the DOJ surveilled you. And we had turnover documents.
That is unreal. And they're allowed to not tell you that you're being surveilled.
We exploded that into a federal lawsuit that's still ongoing in the DOJ and FBI.
What? So Google informed you that you're being surveilled 5 years after the investigation started. What more did they tell you?
They're not allowed to say anything. As a former national security prosecutor, I know you don't just go to Google. You go to every provider. You go to all the telecoms. You go to the bank. You go to everybody. But these two guys who were running the FBI and DOJ sat in a room with the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee and lied to our faces. They threatened to investigate us. They actually did it. Chris Wray, the director of the FBI, and Rod Rosenstein were tasked with helping us at Congress, where I ran the Russiagate investigation, to expose Russiagate. We went to them and said, look, you guys didn't do this. Help us expose it. You know what they did? They launched an investigation against me. They used grand jury subpoenas.
All right, yeah. That's Kash Patel. You want Kash Patel running your FBI? Oh, you damn right you do. Oh, you damn right you do. When do the treason trials begin? The stuff these people thought they were going to get away with,
no,
they felt invincible. It's time to show them they are not invincible. They have the deep state Democrats have weaponized every aspect of the justice system, every aspect of federal government, every aspect of big tech and media and education and healthcare. They have weaponized everything against conservatives, libertarians, constitutionalists, normal people. They have weaponized everything they could against normies. When do the treason trials begin? The civil rights violating abuses from top to bottom during the third Obama term that some of you say was Joe Biden's presidency. When do the treason trials begin? Nuremberg 2.0. When does it begin? This is from the Jesse Kelly Show.
Normal can and in fact will seem crazy for people who've gotten used to abnormal.
Yeah.
But we Americans.
And that's kind of like Stockholm syndrome. If you've been in the care, if you've been taken and kidnapped by your abusers, at a certain point, the brain does flip and you develop a Stockholm syndrome. You develop an affinity toward these people who are abusing you. And when things have been so wrong for so long, normal American badass common sense policies start to feel abnormal. This flurry of activity from President Trump feels abnormal to a lot of you. Well, I'm sorry to say you're probably in that brainwashed group. Welcome back. You got to deprogram, turn off CNN, MSNBC forever, unless you just want to laugh at them and learn about what the exact opposite position is on almost every issue, almost all the time. Welcome back. This is what American exceptionalism, American leadership, America first policies actually look like. And I'm really happy that it's here.
Have been so conditioned to our political leaders, mostly Democrat, but some Republicans.
Yeah, some Republicans are trash. A lot of them are two wings of the same dirty bird, that deep state, divisive, destructive, demonic group of traitors who have been sabotaging the success of this country, devaluing your dollar so that you're barely poor. You can hardly get by. Look at what a Federal Reserve note used to purchase back in 1913. Look at what they've done to the currency. They've devalued it by what? 97%? Remember when a husband and wife used to be able to have one person go out and work and one person raise the family? And you had a nice home in a nice neighborhood and you could afford groceries and vacations and clothing and retirement in college. We have an entire generation that feels like they are completely frozen out of the real estate market. They go to college and they don't get educated. They get indoctrinated to the crazy Marxist bullshit that Obama puts out. Obama's not an educator. Obama's not the one leading the education department. Yes, they are. They're all in on it together, pushing their garbage. The Green New Scam. The Earth's overpopulated. Oh, we're all going to die. The ice is going to melt. We're all going to flood. Everything's crazy. Republicans are to blame. Go get them. Meanwhile, they're just looting you. They're pirates looting you of everything not nailed down. Oh, and eventually they're going to pry those boards up and take the nails too. Because they're pirates. They are ants feasting on the carcass of what was America. Their goal was to destroy and replace America. Erase all borders, erase all history, erase all culture. All cultures are the same. Flood this country with non-Americans. That was the Obama doctrine. Plenty of Republicans were on Team Deep State, which is why MAGA is so unique, so different. And we are blessed that we went through this 4 years of hell, because Trump would have been blocked. He wouldn't have been as popular. We wouldn't have seen the stark difference between the two like we're seeing now. And it's in that stark compare and contrast difference we understand just how devilish, fiendish these deep state Democrats and deep state Republicans are, which is why they've done everything in their power to try to remove Trump, including trying to off him on TV. We are very blessed to be on this timeline, I promise you.
Treating this country like an open sewer, teaching other countries around the world to treat this country like an open sewer.
And take advantage of us, steal our resources, change our culture, build enclaves in our country so they can put representatives in from those little districts like Ilhan Omar.
We have so accepted that as the state of affairs, because that's all we've ever known, really, that now when we finally get a president who advocates on behalf of us exclusively, it's like, whoa, I didn't even know this was possible. But do you realize what an indictment that is on the others?
And we needed to walk through hell to understand what we never want to to allow again. They say there's two keys to making change. Like in I have a psychology background. I have a degree. I don't practice or anything, but I did volunteer crisis centers. And when you're doing a self-directed behavioral change, it's two of the most important things you need. It's almost like a yin and a yang, a push and a pull. You need to have a goal in mind, a clear-cut goal in mind. That is the point that I am aiming at and focusing at. I am guiding my actions to go travel toward that point. That is what I've chosen. That is what I want. That's what I'm going to go get. Also, look behind you. Look at something that maybe you watched one of your friends go through. Maybe one of your friends had an abusive relationship. Maybe one of your friends had a chemical dependency issue. Maybe one of your friends had a gambling problem. Maybe one of your friends had allowed themselves to eat themselves to death or drink themselves to death or inject themselves to death. Who knows? You need to know something behind you that you are running away from. In the middle is you. I know what I don't want to be because I grew up and my parents were this way, or I grew up and some of my friends were this way, or I watched stories, I read the news, and I saw I don't want to be like those people. And in fact, that's what a lot of smart people have said the Bible is intended to be. It's basically a guidebook. Don't be like that person. Don't be like that. Don't be greedy. Don't be envious. Don't be malevolent. Don't be this. Don't be that. Then it's also, hey, look at all these good things. Go be like that. Go be generous. Go be productive. Go be strong. Have no fear. Go aim at that direction. The push and the pull. Super important.
I mean, yeah, it's good for Trump switching things up. And yes, all that's true. But what an indictment that is on the others. That you and me, we see normal activity from an American president and we say, wow, America first. We are so back. Yeah. Normal.
Yeah. That's how much they've demonized this guy and brainwashed people. Oh, he's racist. He's bad. He's a woman hater. He's this, he's that. He doesn't pay his people. He doesn't do that. He's a liar. You've heard all sorts of bad things. What about all the great things? Let's focus on the great things. There's a lot of greatness happening right now in 2 weeks. Common sense policies are returning to the United States federal government, maybe for the first time ever, or at least the first time in a long time. Fit Fran says, finally, a president that takes the oath and means it, and he's not intimidated or afraid to protect and defend Americans from all enemies, both foreign and domestic. America first. Yeah, definitely global ex-forces are pushing this at every angle. Well, America's back, baby. America is back. Let's talk about tariffs for a second here. This is the Jeffrey Mead account. Talking about tariffs. Everybody's an expert on tariffs now, especially your liberal friends who, I saw Rachel Maddow say a thing about tariffs. I saw a clip on social media from Occupy Democrats. I'm a parrot. Tariff. Egg prices not low enough, not fast enough.
We know Trump just issued tariffs in Canada, and this right here is a well-informed and articulate answer about how this situation should be handled in Canada. Listen to this.
That was me being a parrot, by the way. I know you know, but still.
Over the last few weeks, we've heard Donald
This is Pierre Polivier.
Trump talk a lot about Canada in the
Not him. That's a question to him.
same light that he talks about Mexico and China and putting a 25% tariff on our exports. As the future prime minister, what would you do to galvanize that relationship with our neighbors to the south?
Well, first of all, I disagree with the president. You shouldn't be putting us in with Mexico and China. That said, we have to be realistic. We export 3 times more to America than we do to the rest of the world. Trade with the U.S. is equal to 40% of our entire economy. A 25% tariff on our country would be absolutely crippling. So we have to take action to avoid it. Some of the things he's asking for are things that would be good for Canadians if we did them anyway. For example, border security. Our border is a total disaster. We've had so much illegal migration across the border, so many fraudulent cases. We now have between 20, but the government, by the way, you're going to say how could it possibly be between 20,000 and 500,000 people here illegally? I don't know how it can be between those, such a vast number, but that's what the Department of Immigration says. We have 20,000 to 500,000 people here illegally. And many of them will be tempted to cross the border into the United States because they have a significantly stronger and faster growing economy.
Yeah, that is something I've said. Look, I've visited Canada. I used to go into Ontario all the time. Canada has lost its culture. Canada has become something that's not Canada. I don't know where the benefit comes from changing the demographics of your country. You can allow a little bit of immigration. You can allow a little bit of travel, get your best and brightest people from the globe to jump in. Come on in and contribute. First, we want you to walk through the front door, number one. If you come through the back door, no thanks. Please feel Justin Trudeau or Barack Obama joke right there. You walk through the front door. Now what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to stay on the radar and check back with us and stay out of trouble. Okay, that's easy enough, easy enough, easy enough. You're bringing talent to the table. That's good. We need talent. So you can be here as long as we work through this process. It's going to take a little bit, but it's okay. We'll work with you. You're going to learn our customs. You're going to learn our language. You're going to stay off of the dole. Stay off of, you're not going to consume our resources. You're going to contribute to our country. You're going to agree to kind of work with us to maintain liberty and freedom in our country. Pass our civics test. Assimilate and become a Canadian. You're not going to come here and live in an enclave and not speak the language and not agree to learn our rules and traditions and customs. And you're not going to take free money from us and be a leech in our society. Hell no. You want to do that? You can go right back. It would be cheaper to pay your ticket. $1,500 back to whatever country you feel like is cheaper than you coming over here and getting free housing and free food, all these resources, all the kids in school that don't speak the language, and you got to hire interpreters. And why does Canada have to be a global babysitting service? Canada has traditions and customs. I don't know. If Canada can't get their act together, maybe they would be better off as America's 51st state. And I would only be interested in that if that's something that could be negotiated and if the people are interested in. I'm not interested in any military conquest, okay? But if Canada can't get their act together with Justin Trudeau and they're going to be seizing bank accounts from farmers, you're doing all this COVID craziness, you're doing all of these totalitarian, nonsensical things, making our northern border weak, allowing God knows what to come through that Northern America border. Yeah, something needs to change. And Pierre is that change, but my God, it's not happening fast enough. How quickly can you replace Trudeau?
If that happens, we will have a massive retaliatory response from President Trump.
So,
yeah, if that doesn't happen, you can expect a massive retaliatory, what do you say, presence or massive retaliatory actions from President Trump. I'm reading the comments here. It's saying 8 more months before they can make it official. On one hand, God, do it. Trudeau said he's resigning. He's stepping down. He's not stepping down. He's getting his ass kicked. That's like, I think we're going to withdraw. We're going to step down from this matchup. It's the Super Bowl and you're losing by 53 points. What are you stepping down from? You got your ass kicked. There's no saving face. The people hate Trudeau. Can't stand him. Cannot stand him. I'm typing this out. We are live. Leave your comments. Hit like, hit subscribe, please. 8 months. But that's 8 more months of Trudeau being President Trump's punching bag.
The long story short, he's saying, read the room and act accordingly. He realizes a trade war with the U.S. would be far more damaging to the Canadians than it would the Americans. It's just the reality. And it's not even like Trump is asking the Canadians to do something crazy. And that was kind of his point as well. Borders are We should secure our borders more. Reasonable. And if you noticed, he also started off by saying, well, he agrees with Trump, lumping Canada in with Mexico and China. So I kind of jumped in. I'm going to let him continue.
And yeah, I mean, it on the surface, it feels a little unfair to lump them in with China and Mexico, especially with all the fentanyl coming in. But you know what? You're neighbors and you have a responsibility, and you've abdicated that responsibility, and you've turned it into an enemy. You've turned into someone that we can't trust. We can't rely on. We don't respect you. We don't appreciate you. Justin Trudeau has caused almost as much damage to his country as Obama Biden have to America. And that's saying
we will expect a massive retaliatory response from President Trump. So we have to secure the border. We have no choice. Not just for him, but for us. It is dangerous for our country to have that many people here illegally. And so I will secure our border. We will have more frontline border.
Oh, you're going to secure the border. I used to cross that border all the time. I was pulled over for secondary interrogation. And then coming back, I almost wasn't allowed to come back. I don't know. They were kind of weird. I'm fine if you look. I'm a good guy. I'd rather take a little extra time and look and know that people are looking than whatever Obama Biden were doing at our southern border, for sure.
Guards will have drones in the air to stop illegal crossings.
Yeah, but look, guards and drones are fine, but you need an actual wall. You need a port of entry. You need a big, beautiful wall with a big, beautiful door. They said, how big do you want the door? I said, you can make it bigger, but you have to stand in line, show your ID, announce who you are. You're not just walking in anymore.
We're going to do full criminal background checks of people who come to our country before they get here.
Full background checks before they get in.
Which is something, believe it or not, we don't actually do right now. We're going to scan the shipping containers to keep the fentanyl ingredients out of our country.
Is that something that's doable? I'm here for it.
We're going to lock up the drug kingpins that have made fentanyl capital of the world. Those are all steps that Trump is demanding, but more importantly, they're all things that we need to do to secure our own country.
The man has a point. And really, the things he's saying that he would do, that really shouldn't even be controversial. And he was asked.
There's nothing controversial about that. If someone's trying to turn that into controversial, instantly question that person's motives.
This before any of this happened. So he was saying there were things that need to be done to avoid this happening because it's going to be very damaging to us and our economy. And the current party in power really didn't do anything to stop this from happening, it seems. But the man is on point. So we know Trump just issued tariffs in Canada. And this right here is a well-informed and
okay, I think that the video reset there. Here's a good comment in this section from Jeff. It says, I kind of think the purpose of these tariffs on Canada and Mexico is to force out their left-wing governments that won't enforce border enforcement. I mean, yeah. This next comment from Leonard, Trudeau's intentionally trying to destroy Canada. Yeah, just like Obama Biden. These are globalist deep state traitors. There's supposed to be penalty for treason. Look it up. I didn't write it, but it should be enforced. This is what's going on. Here's the video. LAPD facing off with ICE protesters on the 101 freeway. I got caught in one of these. This was right around the time I started the New American Media. I was doing an Occupy LA protest. And I was driving back from May Day, I think it was. If my memory serves me right, it's one of the first batch of videos I did. Went to where things were happening, went out and interviewed people. My vehicle was very low on gas, but I only lived a few miles away, and I was fine. There were May Day protesters, people, non-Americans in America protesting whatever they were complaining about at the moment, blocking the damn roads, stuck in traffic, burning through the last of my gallon. And this was in like a Chevy Blazer that barely gave me 13 miles a gallon. 11 miles a gallon, whatever it was. If you want to block our roads for your personal pet project and personal grievances, you can go to hell. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Piss off. People have places to go, and you have no right to trump and supersede everyone else's ability for free travel within the country that they live. You have no right to block ambulances. You have no right to make people late for work, to make people run out of gas, to frustrate people, make people late for whatever they're going to. It's an act of terrorism. You are imposing your will and restrictions upon me and other people without my consent. You try to get inside somebody's life without consent, that's called rape. You don't have the right to rape the fellow citizens because you want to shriek, because you want to call attention to something. Go to the park, have your protest. You can have a protest. You can't do this. This is exactly the visual I've been looking for. All the cars, all the officers, but now you need them on the backside, and you march them together, and you funnel them and process them into the paddy wagon, and they're all taken for booking. They are all arrested. They are all charged with disturbing the peace, with That's how you do it. Unless you want this to keep happening. So let's see what Los Angeles does next. What the? I started typing and weird things happen. They have no right to block the free flow of transportation across Los Angeles. Arrest them all. There's our comment from the New American Media. All right, next. Here's another one from the Rogan Talk, another significant moment here. Yeah, just, there's a couple of things on here I just want you to remember. Very fake news. Like Trump said, CNN, very fake news. Like Trump said, and a lot of other people said too. They said, sir, why do they always lie?
All right, hang on. The thing is, we're like going so fast. Like I feel like I'm missing.
Do you think that's a problem, that your news network lies?
Well, I don't.
Dude,
what did they say?
They lied and said I was taking horse dewormer. First of all, it was prescribed to me by a doctor.
Yeah.
Along
they
with
shouldn't have said
a
it was
bunch of other medications.
If you got a human pill, because there were people.
Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
That were taking it, the veterinary medication, and you're not, obviously. You got it from a doctor, so that it shouldn't be called that. Ivermectin can be a very effective medication for parasitic disease, and as you say, it's probably, I think what, 250 million people have taken it around the world.
More,
I get that,
way more.
Billion.
So
way more. Billions of people have taken it.
Can I just come back to the one I want to talk about? Two things on
you
the
have
ledger.
You have, before we get to that, does it bother you that the news network you work for out and out lied, just outright lied about me taking horse dewormer?
They shouldn't have said that.
Why did they do that?
I don't know.
You didn't ask? You didn't think that was you're the medical guy over there.
I didn't ask. I should have asked before coming on your podcast.
But they did it with such glee.
No,
yes,
Joe.
They did. I watched.
You watched?
I watched.
You watched? No, I don't think there's
yes,
glee.
They did.
No one takes.
Joe Rogan says he has COVID, taking livestock drug despite warnings. Yeah.
They pushed that so that they would force everybody to give money to Fauci's favorite people, Big Pharma, and a one-size-fits-all approach that caused countless numbers of people, including my brother, to not have access to actual health care. Instead, he was forced into a one-size-fits-all approach. Hydroxychloroquine had been demonized. Ivermectin had been demonized. Monoclonal antibodies had been demonized and banned. No, it was just remdesivir, jab if you already got it, ventilation tube, slide you right into a casket. Check, 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 check. Collect all the money that you can and destroy families. Never have a sibling again. Fuck you, Big Pharma, Fauci, Obama, Biden, deep state Democrats. Fuck you. Forever. I will not stop until Fauci is exposed. I will not stop until this medical tyranny is exposed. And if we can try Fauci for something, if that pardon doesn't hold up, and if he does face charges for treason, if he does face charges for mass murder, if he does face charges for crimes against humanity, I would love to volunteer to be the person that pulls the switch, squeezes the trigger after he's found guilty of his treason and his crimes against humanity. Not Sanjay Gupta, I mean Fauci. After a full, either a military tribunal or a court of law. I mean, we so rarely prosecute treason. We so rarely follow through with the prescribed penalties thereof. I would gladly raise my hand to be the person to send you to a place where you'll have to answer for those actions. Gupta, CNN, they scared doctors from prescribing ivermectin. It's almost as easy as popping an aspirin, a Tylenol, an ibuprofen. Minimal side effects. If you don't have chronic use and abuse. And so my brother, when he got it, he finally found a doctor that would do it, but they gave him like this much instead of that much. Because she was scared. She was scared that they were taking medical licenses away from people that were prescribing this dangerous horse paste. Oh, you mean the Nobel Prize award-winning drug that's been given to billions of doses have been given? I don't know, billions of people, billions of doses. And it could have helped. We don't know. I know that when we smuggled into the hospital and he was in super bad shape, we smuggled it in and had to administer it to him because the nurse said, nope, we can't prescribe that. We can't give that. But here's what you do. If you crush up the pill this way, you can dilute it with a little bit of water. And then if you can pour it into this tube by removing this thing, then you could administer it that way. I'm not allowed to do that or I'll get fired. So I'm going to go outside and I'll just kind of hang out outside the door and just make sure nobody else comes in for the next 10 minutes in case you want to do it. That's what nurses did to us. They were handcuffed by Fauci and CNN. My brother's doctor was handcuffed by Fauci, Obama, Biden, and CNN. Yes, Obama, because he was the puppet master behind this Biden fraud. Hydroxychloroquine, handcuffed by CNN and Fauci. Monoclonal antibodies, that was getting a little too successful in Florida. In fact, so successful, maybe it might be enough to revoke the emergency use authorization, blanket protections for Big Pharma, rolling out this untested mRNA thing. Well, we can't have that competing because then we'd lose our protections. I still to this day don't know why they didn't just wave a magic wand or write a one-line law saying, in this unique opportunity, we will continue to give Big Pharma liability protections in case of blah, blah, blah with this new. However, if there are therapeutic options such as monoclonal antibodies, hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, we'll allow it. Try anything that you can. Doctors are free to act accordingly based on the best practices as they deem fit. No. They threatened losing their law licenses and throwing people in jail if they were prescribing things that Fauci didn't say was okay. How much was he getting commission on all of those? Is that the deal? Is that how that plays out? So he's forcing you to buy the product that he's financially benefiting from? People like Sanjay Gupta. Oh, yeah. Look, don't get me wrong. I'm more than okay putting Sanjay Gupta on trial as well. Because the mouthpieces who regurgitated these fucking lies, if you don't hold these people responsible, they're going to do it again. So yes, is it timely that I bring up this story? Well, it is because I found it and I shared it. And it is because if we don't do something about this, they're going to do it again.
Jamie,
I don't want it to happen again.
You had to pull this up.
You want to play it?
Does she?
This
have
is your
Glee?
news network.
I'm gonna watch.
Let's see.
I'm gonna watch.
Go ahead, Jamie.
All right, hang on. The thing is, we're like going so fast. Like I feel like I'm missing.
Do you think
I want to?
All right, then it repeats. All right, I'm seeing this reported. Hang on, let me see if I can find a source here. Blackhawk pilot. Has this been officially put out there yet? Who's reporting on this? I'm seeing a lot of sites that I can't. Scott Adams. That's a different Scott Adams. The AA Blackhawk air crash at Reagan was intentional. Air traffic control told the Blackhawk pilot to return to base and land immediately multiple times with zero response. And then she decided to go above her ceiling and direct her helicopter directly into the plane. Oh, boy. See, I am still not seeing there's a woman that people are saying was the pilot of this. Yes, it does look deliberate. Let me type in the latest here. They're showing a captain. I'm scrolling. I don't see news outlets reporting this. This is on the heels of over the weekend, a couple days ago, there was a trans pilot that was the one that was on some sort of suicide mission in the Blackhawk or DEI that they completely unqualified, but they checked a really interesting, unique, tiny percentage of the population box, and that looked good for DEI reasons. But that report seemed to be erroneous because the person who was identified is not the right person. So people are reporting that this was someone involved with the Biden administration. I'm going to scroll past it. I'm not going to report it. It is being talked about. I can't confirm it. So I'm going to hold off. Maybe it's correct. I have a sneaking suspicion that this time this is going to be correct. But before I'm doxing somebody and I can't prove it, people are reporting that from some accounts that do put a lot of good stuff out there, but I don't have enough. I don't have enough to do it myself. So I'm calling on the federal government to immediately release the name of the person that did this. I want to know the background. I want to know what caused this. It feels intentional. Why does it feel intentional? Riddle me this. This post next is motivated by Freedom 1776.
I get real tired of this fucking saying, stole the land. Okay? Every motherfucking country that exists in the world was conquered by other people. I don't feel guilty that somebody conquered the country and created an awesome place.
Pretty badass.
Yeah, it's awesome, dude. Like, this is the history. Go through fucking the 12,000 years of human history that's documented, and you will see that every motherfucking land in the history of Earth has been conquered many times by many different groups of people. And the group of people that currently reside will probably be conquered at some point too. And if you want to know the truth, the reason that we're getting these fuckers out of here is so it doesn't happen here. I get real tired of this fucking saying, stole the land. Okay,
So
every
something you
motherfucking
agree with
country
or
that exists
disagree
in the
with,
world.
everybody? Are you getting kind of sick and tired of the main playbook of the deep state? Everything's about shame. Everything's about trying to feel bad about who you are, your history, your future, your current, your present. I'm over it. People are over it. Hey, if you missed it over the weekend, there was Punxsutawney Phil. So Punxsutawney Phil saw his shadow which means 6 more weeks of winter, and Buckeye Chuck did not, which means there's an early spring in Ohio. Buckeye Chuck. They're calling it Punxsutawney Trump. He gets out, sees a shadow. 4 more years of Trump. Happy Groundhog Day, everybody. Shared from Jenna Ellis Media. There you go. Now I'm following it. I didn't follow that account before. Yeah, make sure you go to the New American Media and follow us on Instagram and share our stuff. This was more information. This is from Mr. What is that? Bud? Mr. Bud. Going back to Biden's pick to lead the FAA, a DEI hire who couldn't answer a single question about aviation. So when Blackhawks are crashing right into planes, you got to ask, did this person even know what they were doing? Why were they given the controls of a Blackhawk helicopter? It doesn't seem as though people are faulting the airline. Let's let the investigation play out. But it seems to be as if the Blackhawk was either A, taken over via remote control, and they were bragging. Boeing, I believe, was it Boeing? I believe the Blackhawk manufacturer. I think it's, hang on. Blackhawk manufacturer remote control, Blackhawk electric AU, Blackhawk helicopter manufacturer. Who manufactures Blackhawk? Sikorsky. Command an autonomous Blackhawk helicopter. Integrated with Sikorsky's Matrix autonomy system, can receive remote mission commands in real time. They're kind of like drones. Still digging into this. So either, look, if the airline pilot of the commercial aircraft was not at fault, either it was or it's not. So if it is, there's a whole different batch of things once the investigation is done. Okay, set that aside. Now, if the Blackhawk is at play and they were the ones solely at fault, okay, either A, it was taken over remote control and steered into what appeared to be a suicide mission, even if it wasn't, in an act of terrorism, in an act of war, in an act of retribution, in an act of false flag for some reason, or to take out somebody on that helicopter or that plane in a way that you could describe as an accident, but it was definitely an act of war. So if it wasn't taken over remotely, it was either a mistake by the pilot, who was very experienced, very talented, very accomplished, and totally capable of avoiding that mistake. And we don't know what happened. Was this person checking a text message and not looking and paying attention? If it happens on the road with big rigs and school bus drivers, it can happen in a helicopter. Or C, I think I'm doing ABC, or not 1, 2, 3. C, this person was unqualified. It was a DEI promotion to this position. They had no business being where they were. And this is the obvious result when you give people positions based on what they look like instead of their talent level, instead of their talent stack, instead of their capabilities. Once again, representation being greater than qualification, that equals DEI trash. Because in DEI, people DIE. So this is the investigation we're still currently having. But look what Biden did here. Remember, Biden had a DEI hire for vice president. That's not my words. That's not my interpretation. Joe Biden said, I will hire a woman of color to be my vice president. He did not say, I will find the most qualified person to take the reins of the federal government if I should be incapacitated. No, he said, I'm going to find somebody who has certain genitalia and certain skin color instead of the most capable, qualified, competent person out there. What a disaster she turned out to be, because the Democrats are a walking train wreck. Kind of like the one that the completely unqualified Pete Buttigieg got Remember when he showed up in East Palestine, Ohio? Did he show up? How long did it take for him to show up? Who gave the go-ahead to burn all those toxic chemicals instead of scooping them up? When you have a completely unqualified person, you go, well, he dropped out and he endorsed our candidate and we promised him a position in the cabinet. I don't know. What do we got? We got these 5 things. He's not qualified to be transportation director, but he is a gay guy. So we should give him something. How about transportation? Transportation. How many planes have we seen dropping out of the sky? The East Palestine train crash, the Baltimore bridge crash. Well, he checks a box. Yes, he is white, and yes, he's a guy, which I hate giving any jobs to any white guys. I don't know if he's Christian or not. But he is gay. Okay, he's gay. So we can put him somewhere because at least he's gay. What qualifications does Pete Buttigieg have to be the transportation secretary? It is weird, though, that Biden, a creepy, hetero, old white guy, was the standard bearer for the party that goes out of its way to do nothing but marginalize and restrict access to straight white guys. It's kind of interesting. Very cuckold. I think Obama actually got off on making Biden, like, typing out certain things that Biden had to say about our nation. Come on. The biggest threat in our nation is white supremacists. That's what it is. It's biggest threat are white guys. Yeah, you know the thing. It's those white guys. Yeah, biggest threat. Mr. Mayorkas, yes, America will not be a white country, and that's a good thing. And that's a good thing. Whites will be replaced by into 2054. Then that will be a good thing that whites aren't the majority in this country. That'll be a good thing. Why is that good? Tell me, why is that good? I think Obama got off on making the sock puppet Joe Biden put his hand up his. I think he really enjoyed it. Once again, here's Mr. Bud talking to this FAA person promoted by Joe Biden to run the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration.
Mr. Washington, can you quickly tell me what airspace requires an ADS-B transponder?
Not sure I can answer that question right now.
That's okay. We'll just keep going. So that's a pretty important part. So what are the 6 types of special use airspace that protect this national security that appear on FAA charts?
Sorry, Senator, I cannot answer that question.
Okay, so what are the operational limitations of a pilot flying under basic med?
Senator, I'm not a pilot, so...
but obviously you'd oversee the Federal Aviation Administration, so any idea what those restrictions are under basic med, quickly?
Well, some of the restrictions, I think, would be high blood pressure. Some of them would be...
It's more like how many passengers per airplane, how many pounds in different categories, and what altitude you can fly under. So, and then amount of knots. It's under 250 knots. So, it's not having anything to do with blood pressure. So, can you tell me what cause?
How could someone without a basic understanding of the industry? And look, to a certain degree, I get it. I have a sales background. I think I could sell anything to anyone. I think a lot of sales is just reaching out to people with the product that they're looking for and then following up. Prioritizing opportunities, staying in touch with them. Sales could be a place where you don't really need to know the industry, but you will want to know. You will want to know some of the basics, get the talking points, get the memo. Have some stuff in front of you. You're like, yeah, here's what we do. And, if you ask me some specific questions that I might not have the answer on, I'll tell you what, I'll get back. Let me Let me deliver this question to, I have a specialist here. I raise my hand and admit I don't know everything about the industry. And I want to make sure that when I respond to your question, I provide the accurate data points that you're requesting. You know, I'll get you that by EOD. Is that okay? Perfect. Just be honest. Don't lie to me and don't give me false information. I don't think I should be restricted from being in a different industry if I were doing sales and something I'm not super familiar with. But when you're trying to run the Federal Aviation Administration and you don't know a single thing about planes, it seems, none of the important matters that you need a basic subset of building block information on which you can take that foundation and then coordinate all of the things that are necessary to keep our airlines functional at the highest level. One mistake can wipe out 50 families, shatter the trust in the industry of aviation. This guy doesn't know anything about airlines. He's never been a pilot. Like, this guy doesn't know any of the basic information about this. And Obama and his handlers threw Biden the sock puppet, the weekend at Bernie's fake candidate. They're putting up a guy that appears to be completely unqualified for this post. Of course, this feels like DEI. We can't put somebody competent up there. That's not to say that everybody of any particular area is competent, but this guy is incompetent for this position. I would beg a single person to tell me why they would disagree and think that this person is competent for this job.
Causes an aircraft to spin or to stall?
Again, Senator, I'm not a pilot.
Okay, let's keep going. What are the 3 aircraft certifications the FAA requires as part of the manufacturing process? Quickly, please. 3 aircraft certifications.
Again, what I would say to that is that one of my first priorities would be to fully implement that Certification Act and report.
You know the 3 types, Mr. Washington? The 3 types? Okay. Yeah, that's type certificate, production certificate, and airworthiness certificate. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Let's just keep going, see if we can get lucky here. So can you tell me what the minimum separation distance is for landing and departing airliners during the daytime, Mr. Washington?
I don't want to guess on that, Senator.
Are you familiar with the difference between Part 107 and Part 44809 when it comes to unmanned air?
Yeah, Bruce here in the comments. I'm sure Mr. Washington is a very nice man, but it sounds like a Saturday Night Live skit. It's almost too funny to think this could be happening. To run the FAA sounds like a pretty critical position, which would require a unique education with specialized skills. Yeah, instead, he's the definition of DEI. And you know what happens now? You know the shittiest part about this? The shittiest part. DEI being pushed from these deep state Democrats. It causes people now to reevaluate every person in their life. Every boss, every administrator, every manager. I'm trying to think which industries. I guess it permeates the culture now. So if you go see a doctor, you're going to wonder, let's look at this through the DEI lens, since that's all the Democrat deep state does. They look at everything through a DEI lens. I don't. But since they do, let's look at it. What are we dealing with here? Okay. We have a person who would check one or more DEI boxes, aka not straight, white, Christian, male. Everything they're against. DEI is anti that, which is, everything I am. Imagine growing up in a country that For 30 years, these Democrats have been pushing this anti-me agenda. Oh, we need a more diverse this and that. We can't hire people that look like you. What? Why? Go see a doctor, a surgeon. If they are anything other, and of course, you're not going to know the sexual, well, sometimes you have a strong hunch, but if this person is a white male, you go, I don't know how you got hired in a position here where DEI matters more than job qualifications. But if you do go to a hospital, say, and your doctor gives you advice and takes a look at you and wants to prescribe something, or you go to a surgeon then after that and they take a look at your charts and say, all right, well, here's what we're recommending and here's what we'd like to do. And you go, okay. You seem to be someone that would benefit from DEI. I therefore don't know if you're qualified into this position so that the hiring quotas could be met, so that the HR person wouldn't get fired for failing to meet those quota restrictions. I never used to think this way, but now I don't know if I trust that you're capable and qualified and competent for this post. I don't know if I can accept your advice. I don't know if I trust you. I don't know if I believe you. Think about the true damage caused by DEI. Think back to the 90s. Whatever. People, do your thing. It wasn't a nonstop barrage. Yeah, you had a couple of flare-up points. You had Rodney King, you had OJ, you had a couple of things. But it wasn't like it's been for the past 30 years. Things have gone completely off the rails. And I think back, I moved to a new place. I got a new doctor. This doctor would have qualified for at least 2 DEI. And you know what it turns into? It is so gross what this DEI does. Nobody wants to think these things. Nobody wants to put energy into, like, why would you care what somebody looks like? You shouldn't. But now, because of Democrats, you have to care. Because maybe this person was promoted despite lower test scores, despite having lower aptitude, which means I'm at greater risk of getting bad advice from someone that really didn't earn their position at this post. Crap. I had a doctor, had at least 2, maybe 3 or more DEI red flag. We're going to call them DEI red flags. It is so gross. If someone's a woman, that's a red flag. If somebody's not white, that's a red flag. If somebody has a rainbow pin on their jacket or something, you go, okay, that's a third red flag. Because DEI has promoted people that wave these red flags. They go, ahoy, matey, I'm waving a flag, a red flag. Allow me to board your vessel. I am the type of person you're looking for. All right, they have a red flag, bring them in. To them, it's like a gold star. They could say, excuse me, I have gold stars. I am a lady. I like ladies. And my skin color is non-white. Let me in. I have gold stars, 3 of them. These gold stars turn into red flags. Is this person capable? Was the Blackhawk pilot competent? This guy's in charge of the FAA. He can't answer a single question. Biden, I'm going to appoint a woman of color to the Supreme Court. Ketanji Jackson Brown Jackson. I don't, Ketanji. Have you seen her rulings? They're not good. Did you hear Kamala speak a single time? She's not good. How about you just put a good person into that position? So yeah, DEI, I can't believe we allowed things to get this bad. The only hope now is that we can put them back on track and get these things fixed so that things can be good again.
Aerial standards, unmanned like drones. Are you familiar with the difference?
Yes.
Okay. You know the difference between those two, Part 44809 and Part 107? Do you know the difference there?
No, I cannot.
That's okay.
So,
Mr. Washington, can
it's shockingly incompetent. And here you go. This is an ongoing, I believe this is an ongoing lawsuit. FAA, according to Daily Mail, the FAA has turned away 1,000 job applicants because of its DEI rules. AKA, if you white, if you straight, if you Christian, if you a man, need not apply. Remember these airlines that were like, hey, we have the most diverse cast of characters on our planes. I'm sorry. What? I want you to tell me you have the most competent, talented people on your planes. And I care what they look like. You Hindu? Cool. Because you're in the top of your class, and I trust you, Hindu. Are you a lady? That's great, lady. You must be at the top of your class because they only accept the best of the best. We're not supposed to care about these things, but because of DEI now, it becomes a survival instinct. It becomes self-preservation. What does the wolf say in Pulp Fiction? If self-preservation is an instinct that you possess, I recommend you do what I say when I say. Is self-preservation an instinct that you possess? They have staff shortages and they're turning away applicants because they don't check off the boxes with DEI. Adam Carolla said the same thing about when he applied to be a firefighter and he was told, buddy, you're a white guy. We're not hiring white guys. Get on the waiting list. 7 years later, they brought him in for the test. He was already into another profession. This story coming from Red Daywalker 2.0. It's such a dark chapter of American history. And it's all because of Biden being steered by Obama and his puppet masters. Here's an interesting one from Snowflake News and Snowflake News 2.
Дивіться,
Look, when I hear,
я коли чую,
we hear from the
і раніше
United States
чув,
of America,
і сьогодні ми чуємо від Сполучених Штатів Америки, що Америка дала Україні сотні мільярдів, 177, якщо сказати більш точно. Така звучала точна цифра, яку підтримували або голосував Конгрес, тощо різні організації. Дивіться, я як президент воюючої країни вам говорю, ми отримали більше 75. Тобто 100 мільярдів з цих 107 або 200, говорять навіть деякі люди, ми ніколи не отримували. Це важливо. Бо ми говоримо про конкретні речі, бо ми отримали це не грошима, а зброєю. Ми зброєю отримали на 70 з чимось мільярдів. Є навчання, тренування, є...
Look, he's going to go on and on here. The point is, Zelensky claims 100 billion of the 177 somehow missing. Just missing. Somehow missing. Take 10% to the big guy. Let's try to figure out where the rest went. And it's in weapons. So it's the military-industrial complex selling their antiquated technology at top dollar through the guise of foreign aid. So Victoria Nuland, Barack Hussein Obama in 2014 could overthrow Ukraine, push for this war in Russia, then use all of these old and out-of-date weapons so that they could be exploded and destroyed, killing hundreds of thousands of people, maiming millions, so that they could get rid of their back stock, so that they could now build some new shiny stuff that they could later sell to fund some explosive conflict in some foreign country. How do we fix this? They don't do 177 billion with 100 million missing. Now, by the way, look at Zelensky's mansions. He's bought a few, right? Oh, he's definitely dipping his beak in. You got $1 billion, you put that into rebuilding North Carolina through FEMA. What are you doing? This is our money, not theirs. This is gross. And there needs to be accountability here. There has to be accountability. Another post about Kash Patel. Let this guy rant. This is from Jimmy Supreme Music. I mean, what are you getting out of Kash Patel? Here's what you're getting.
The nation that everyone has been waiting for has finally been dropped. Kash Patel, FBI director. And if you were waiting to see the FBI fucking straight shit their fucking pants, it's happened. Andrew McCabe, that fucking snake line piece of shit, that motherfucker's on CNN, just fucking piss up to his eyeballs, dude. The guy's fucking crying. Because Kash, if you listen to him, and especially the SRS podcast that he was on, 3 hours of him laying out where the bodies are buried, how to uncover them, and it's fucking epic. And he says it's super simple because what the fucking deep state has done is used classification in an illegal way to cover up all the evidence of all their crimes. So all they have to do, unclassify this shit, mountains of evidence, you motherfuckers are going to fucking jail. Jail will be nice because treason, you don't go to jail for treason. Yeah, I think we all...
You know, I'm going to stop. I don't want to get flagged because they're playing Thunderstruck in the background. Please, if we could get places like YouTube to stop censoring things and flagging for copyright because a song happens to be playing somewhere in a background. Look, if you want to add something that tags, hey, we noted that AC/DC Thunderstruck was playing in the background of some of the content that you shared. You don't put a copyright notice. You put a link. Hey, if you like that song that was playing in the background, go buy it. Here's their social media link, your link tree. This is where you go find all of them. Instead, they want to reduce the reach of content that has stuff like this. We're commenting on what he's saying, not the music in the background. Anyway, watch the post on the New American Media Instagram page. I got to stop because of the music. It's unfortunate, but he's just super excited about Kash Patel. Here's another guy who's super excited about Kash Patel. This is Dave Brown live. Because look, we are right up on the precipice, people. We are right at the edge. We are right at the edge of transformative repairs to America. Right on the edge of it. Right on the verge. And it's going to take justice. The deep state used lawfare to try to proclaim it as justice fraudulently. It's time to use justice to expose the lawfare and lock all these people up, and the ones charged with treason, good luck.
So Kash Patel is about to be the first Indian to ever head the FBI. He's also the son of immigrant parents. Marco Rubio is the first Latin Secretary of State, also son of immigrant parents. Susie Wiles is the first female chief of staff. Scott Besnet, who is an openly gay man, is now Secretary of the Treasury. Not sure if that ever happened before. Kristi Noem is actually the second woman to be Secretary of Homeland Security. Richard Grenell, the envoy who just brought back 6 American hostages from Venezuela.
Bravo, Richard Grenell. And the comment there was, wait a minute, that's all it took was to go there and say, let my people go. That's all it took? What the hell was Biden doing for 4 years?
Is openly gay. Tulsi Gabbard could be the second one to be head of national intelligence. Oh, and she's of Samoan descent. So is this a DEI or is this merit-based? Does this look racist and sexist to you, or is it just a true reflection of America, our values, and how far we've come? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Patel is about to be the first Indian to ever head the FBI. He's also the son of immigrant parents.
There just said, what a difference true American leadership looks like. Time for qualifications over representation. Qualification over representation. If you're qualified, kick some ass. It's not about representing people. Yeah. I think I shared this from a different site, but yeah, Panama's president ended the country's Panama Canal deal with China immediately following a meeting with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Fantastic. This one from the Babylon Bee. Speaking of fantastic, is this a joke? No, I guess not. To announce that they've given up complete, DNC selects David Hogg as their vice chair. Good luck with that, soy boy. According to Fox News, the Doge team has discovered, among among other things, that payment approval officers at the Treasury were instructed always to approve payments, even to known fraudulent or terrorist groups. They literally never denied a payment in their entire life, not even once. This is yet another post about another attack on another sovereign nation from migrants, 2 people, including a 2-year-old. This was in Bavaria on Wednesday. It's not loading the comments. I can't see her name. I'm not going to post it, but this is from Europe on top. This former asylum seeker was supposed to be leaving Germany, but instead ends the lives of some awesome people. Enough of this already. This dude here, I don't know who this is, and it's not loading the comment. Oh, I guess it's not loading the comments because I'm not on the other page. But this is just essentially saying that if you want to make it in the music industry, this is from 24 years ago, allegedly, that you have to, you got to let them do certain things to you so that you're compromised, so that you bend over, you hold your ankles, and you tolerate what they're going to give you. And that's how you make it in the music industry. The Harvey Weinstein, the Diddy, the Epstein. You can watch that clip. I'm not going to play it, but it's vile. This one is from The Tank. This is Los. I don't. Oh, they got Johnny Cash, Ragged Old Flag playing in the background, so I'll mute it. This is video of the police and these anti-immigration enforcement people protesting in Los Angeles. The Tank Guns says, I can't quite figure out how you can invade a sovereign nation, force them to provide you benefits at the cost of their citizens, while proudly waving the flag of another country, but consider it punishment to be sent back there. If your goal is to be an American and want to be a part of our country, why are you flying another country's flag? Imagine millions of Americans invading a sovereign nation, flying the American flag, and demanding that their citizens provide them benefits and opportunities while still being loyal to the USA. It'll never happen because Americans know there's no other place like the USA, and no sovereign nation in the world would allow such disrespect. Make it make sense. But it's time to get some ICE squads over there in Los Angeles. Here's another post on tariffs, since now every lefty is an instant, they are instant tariff experts.
Liberal fruitcakes. See a lot.
This is from Communism Survivor.
A lot of you crying over tariffs, saying it's going to destroy the economy. Want to look at trade economics? First, a tariff is a tax imposed on a country's imported goods and services. The United States only imports 15% of goods and services internationally. The rest is domestic. Now, a lot of you are concerned about what's happening with Canada and Mexico. Well, you remember that 15% I talked about? Canada and Mexico only produce 5% of that. That means between both of them, they only produce 5% of the United States GDP. So guess what? This trade war is going to turn both of those places into a third world country, although Mexico already is one. Now, the reality is we don't want that. But the United States is tired of being taken advantage of by the countries who are refusing to pay their fair share. And we all know you guys want fair share. And tariffs are a way of achieving that. Now, let's look at Canada. 20% of the GDP of Canada comes from the United States trade agreements. And 75% of their trade happens with the United States. Now, that means if prices go up because of imported goods from Canada, America 5% of their trade, that's going to be detrimental to their economy. And Mexico doesn't even remotely have a leg to stand on, with 40% of their GDP tied into American export. Now, I know you're going to say that Canada's threatened to turn off power to Americans. Well, we'll just raise the tariff. They're not going to turn it off. Do you know why? Because Canada's utilities is $55 billion in debt, which means they can't afford to turn off the United States' power. Now, you're going to say that other countries are going to stop trading with America. Well, they only make up 10% of the GDP of the United States. And we'll just pull funding from NATO, because we fund 75% of that, which means all of them would have to cut their social services, like Canada paying reparations, investing in their own military, which they didn't spend more money on social services than investing in their own military. The reality is tariffs are good when coupled with tax cuts for the United States. Yes, it will be inflationary. The numbers that we're seeing are about 0.5%. But couple the elimination of income tax, negligible to the United States. So stop crying. Tariffs provide leverage, and America is going to put America first. We're gonna be fine. Stop your fear-mongering.
It is about leverage and negotiation. Hey, there's Kenneth. What's up, buddy? It's terrible. It's terrible. What's happening? It's terrible. All right. That was the last one. Oh, no, I have Instagram. Yeah, we're talking about Canada. Here's what happened. I've been seeing this. George put this out. Louis Sparks is the account on talking about Canada and some of their companies regarding tariffs. What's going to happen next?
Canada's fastest growing food companies are now planning to move their operations to the United States. You have Midday Squares and Flourish Pancakes, and most of the customers are in the United States. Midday Squares currently has a plant in Montreal, but now they're like, what does Ohio look like? Missouri.
Ohio's awesome.
And Wisconsin. And the owner put it very simply, we need the US as a business. Maybe people aren't understanding, but there's a difference between Canadian politicians and Canadian businesses. The politicians will react one way to the tariffs, but the business people sit down and analyze logically. They're already paying stupidly high corporate taxes in Canada, and if they left and came here, they would save half of their money overnight. Plus, they'll now have free access to the biggest consumer market in the world, and they have a pro-business federal government. Why would you stay in Canada? That's the whole point of President Trump's plan. Guess what's going to happen next? Those car companies that are making their cars in Canada, they're just going to go back to Detroit and make their cars in the United States. And we're not doing this to destroy Canada. We're doing this to level the playing field. They've taken advantage of us for far too long. We've been subsidizing their national defenses and their economies, and it's finally time we put Americans first. Two of Canada.
So there you go. Things happen when you start using tariffs. And that will conclude my portion on the Instagram feed. Let me bounce over to X and go through a couple of things here. Go to my profile, share this tab instead. Make sure you're following us at American_media_. Check out our document. You know what? I'll play you the first 60 seconds of our documentary, Hurricane Helene, Help on the Way. Please watch this on Rumble. Because if you watch it on Rumble and let the ads play, it's like you toss a penny in our wishing well. 1,000 pennies equals a little bit more than 0 pennies. Although I can't commercials now because I got to share this with you. It's a documentary into North Carolina that we made. Hopefully. So there it is. That's Hurricane Helene, Help on the Way. But as I was scrolling, I did see that, so I wanted to share it with you. Okay, we're going to buzz through all the things we have on X. This is coming from Doug Ford at Ford Nation. Starting today, until U.S. tariffs are removed, Ontario is banning American companies from provincial contracts. Every year, the Ontario government and its agencies spend $30 billion on procurement, alongside our $200 billion plan to build Ontario, U.S.-based businesses. Ontario. U.S.-based businesses will now lose out on tens of billions of dollars in new revenues. They only have President Trump to blame, he says. We're going one. We'll be ripping up the province contract with Starlink. Ontario won't do business with people hell-bent on destroying our economy. Canada didn't start this fight with the U.S., but believe we're ready to win it. Okay. There you go. Winning a fight with Trump. Really? Have you considered a comedy career after Trump bends you over his knee? All right. So that's happening. Yeah, Ontario canceling the $100 million Starlink deal. Oh, so you're telling me the people who are supposed to be getting internet in your wide, vast swaths of nothingness and lack of infrastructure, they're going to be better off by this. Okay. Good luck with that. So that's happening now. It's all part of a process. Let it play out. Ontario's ripping up the contract. They won't do. Okay, we already said that. Real Donald Trump now says Canada doesn't even allow U.S. banks to open or do business. What's that all about? Many such things, but it's also a drug war, and hundreds of thousands of people have died in the U.S. from drugs pouring through the borders of Mexico and Canada. Just spoke with Justin Trudeau, and we'll be speaking to him again at 3 p.m. So, all right, keep your eye peeled on that. This is something going on in Greece. Earthquakes are all over the place, popping off all over. You look at Greece, where are we at? Let's Greece, obviously. But what do we have right around there? Turkey, Syria, Israel, Egypt, Libya, Algeria, Spain, Italy, Romania, Australia. It's not too far from Ukraine. Just there's an area. Keep your eyes peeled for what's happening on those earthquakes. J.K. Rowling here says this is the first and likely the last time that I will retweet an advertisement, but I love it. I believe I've seen this as well, and if it's what I'm thinking, I love it too.
Riley Gaines and Sia Leahy are in hot water over their transphobic comments, and I just gotta say, who cares if biological males play in women's sports? Just be inclusive.
Could not agree more. This is just a bunch of fear-mongering from right-wing bigots.
Kicking ass. Another people that want to have men against.
I'm just gonna say it, she's a bigot.
She's been a massive distraction for her team with her hate-filled rhetoric. Tia is not inclusive. And males invading women's sports isn't even a problem, as far as I'm concerned.
Female athletes just need to work harder.
And not blame others for their lack of success.
Transphobe.
As a captain, she is very much.
Once again, let's see if YouTube flags my video because there's generic hype music in the background.
Responsible for these boycotts, which have cost her team a playoff bid.
Guess we'll see how Sia handles all that pressure tonight.
Truth fits. Was it XXXY? If your chromosomes include a Y in sports, you must compete with guys. That's the calling card. If your chromosome includes a Y in sports, you must compete with guys. That's all. All right, so here's the Democrats.
Most of it.
Look, this creepy little troll. 6 ways from Sunday Schumer. Little traitorous creep. Here you go, tariff expert, Chuck Schumer.
Let's just take Super Bowl Sunday, okay?
Have you ever watched the Super Bowl? Can you even tell me how the game of football is played, Chucky Schumer? I doubt it.
It's going to affect beer, okay? Most of it, Corona here, comes from Mexico. It's going to affect you because what is guacamole made of? Avocados, both from Mexico. Let's just take super.
Wow. Yeah. Ooh. We better let them just keep doing everything that they've always been doing then. Can't pay a quarter more. Can't buy American. There's plenty of American beer. Plenty of American avocados. Frankly, we need to have better farming out here so that regardless of where you're at, you can have internal conditions that can grow some food. We need to get smarter about growing our food, making more food here. America needs Mexico for beer.
Just got on TV right now. This is live. And he told America by holding up Corona, lime, and talking about avocados just in time for the Super Bowl next week that the Trump tariff is going to cost them $1,200 per year. I want to know, where was this concern for the American civilian and their spending over the last 4 years? Where was that? But the Democratic Party is now going to tell you everything that Trump does is going to cost you. But everything they did over the last 4 years, completely ignored. We're talking about Corona beer. We're talking about limes. We're talking about avocados. And this guy's going to get up on TV now and tell you that he suddenly cares about your spending. He's a liar.
Democrats doing what they do best. Yeah, another one about U.S. aid. This is something important. We kind of led the show with this, and I want to touch on it. Kaneko the Great saying U.S. aid has funneled $53 million to EcoHealth Alliance, which then used U.S. taxpayer funds to support gain-of-function research on coronaviruses at the Wuhan lab research that likely led to the creation of COVID-19. Don't call it a lab. My words, don't call it a lab leak. An intentional release of a bioweapon for political and financial and potentially reducing the population of the planet. The CIA's deception regarding COVID-19 origins becomes much clearer when considering U.S. aid's long history of serving as a CIA front organization. With an annual budget exceeding $50 billion with a B and activities in over 100 countries, U.S. aid has repeatedly been linked to intelligence activities. Former U.S. aid Director John Gilligan once admitted that the agency was, quote, infiltrated from top to bottom with CIA people. The idea was to plant operatives in every kind of activity we had overseas, government, volunteer, religious, every kind. In 2013, a U.S. cable published by WikiLeaks outlined the U.S. strategy to undermine Venezuela's government through U.S. aid by, quote, penetrating Chavez's political base, dividing Chavismo, and isolating Chavez internationally. In 2014, the Associated Press reveals that U.S. aid funded the creation of a Twitter-like platform intended to incite a rebellion in Cuba. U.S. aid funding has been linked to coups in Haiti, coups in Ukraine, coups in Egypt, and other nations. From 2009 to 2019, U.S. aid partnered with EcoHealth Alliance on the PREDICT program, which identified 1,200 new viruses, trained 5,000 people globally in disease detection, and enhanced 60 research laboratories. This partnership provided the CIA with a direct channel for embedding human assets within biological research facilities worldwide in exchange for funding and technology transfers. In 2022, Dr. Andrew Huff, a former vice president at EcoHealth Alliance, publicly revealed that Peter Daszak's alleged ties were to the CIA. And what's the core issue? The CIA lied to the American public about COVID-19's origins because acknowledging the truth would expose its likely role in funneling taxpayer money through U.S. aid to finance gain-of-function research at the Wuhan lab. So the CIA has tried to pay off analysts to bury findings that COVID lab leak. It's not a lab leak, a lab release. And that it was likely, according to a whistleblower. Federal funding of Eco Health Alliance 04 to 22. And in sports news, the Cleveland Browns defensive superstar Myles Garrett has requested a trade. Doggone it. Anyway, you can look into all of this stuff with USAID. It's a little complicated, but it's not that complicated. It's not that complicated. This stuff has to stop. And let's see what week 3 of the Trump presidency brings us. Another conversation with Justin Trudeau at 3 o'clock, and Democrats or tariff experts. Let's see how it plays out. But that is going to conclude our episode of the TNAM AM show this morning. Thank you all for watching. Appreciate you. All the places: Rumble, the New American Media, subscribe. Those are our monetized videos, so please watch our stuff on Rumble. We did start our page as a profile, but now we changed it to a channel, so make sure you subscribe to the channel. YouTube, 1,700 videos on there under the New American Media. Please subscribe. On Spotify, we have the Agree to Disagree show, and we put the TNAM AM show under the umbrella of the Agree to Disagree show, so you can sign up for that podcast. Patreon.com/the New American Media if you would like to contribute to our show. We appreciate each and every one of you. Venmo at Brian Engelman, PayPal at Fuzz Installment, Cash App, $ Brian Engelman. On X, we're at American_media_. Truth Social, we're the New American Media. Instagram, the New American Media page, and Facebook, the New American Media page, and TNAM's The Agree to Disagree show. Signal and Telegram at TNAM and TNAM chat. So there you have it, everybody. Whew. Tuesday, a lot to talk about. We'll be back tomorrow. Should have 2 shows tomorrow, TNAM AM show and then the Agree to Disagree show in the afternoon at 3 o'clock, I think, with Blake Wally. So hope you join us live. Thank you to everybody in the comments, including you, Kenneth, of course, and to everybody out there watching after the fact. Hit like, hit subscribe. Try to share the content to a couple of your friends and be like, hey, we check out this guy's show. It's pretty good. Maybe you should subscribe. We could use some of that word of mouth love to keep it growing. So I will release you to the rest of your day. I hope you get outside and get some fresh air. I hope you enjoy and create. I hope you follow your passions, and I hope you succeed in your endeavors. I will talk to you later. Everybody out there in the TNAM universe, I appreciate you. I love you.